Chris.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut everybody off. I was just going to start it because I was anxious. We were all talking back in the back. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Drone Therapy Season 5, Episode 38. Finally, some real competition. And as everybody's been talking. It's like everywhere. We've got Autel coming out with all these drones from everywhere. We got Xdynamics, shipping the Evolve 2. We've got Sony kind of hanging out there to chew up all the commercial stuff and everything out there. And then we've got DJI. Who's DJI? Anyway, let me run around the room. Let me run it around the room real fast. I'll let everybody say their howdies and let them give a kind of brief intro of what's going on with them. First off, I'm going to come up with Mr. Keithy.
I'm Keith from the K-Spot. I've just got interest in drones, and it's been a very interesting week. Few things might have dropped.
And next, Chris Hope.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Just a busy week for me. Nothing really changed. Just listening to all the hype of the hypes. Y'all get ready.
Next up, Brian Mackey.
Okay, so if anybody gets sick, it's my camera. I'm sorry. That's how it is. But it's going to move. I'm not doing this. I'm telling you, I got one coming in the morning, but it's not here now. I'm in Houston, Texas. I've been flying drones for almost 4 years. This November will be 4 years that I flew and crashed my very first Hollystone HS something. So yeah, I got a bunch of drones, got a couple FPVs and a bunch of DJI things. I'm not sure what they are. And I've had an Autel. And I'm going to talk about Autel. Yeah, but that's it.
We're just talking about Autel. And last but not least, the man that we're going to be turning to for most of our information tonight, because he knows Autel like nobody else. Hot Rod, tell us some more.
Yeah, the funny part of it is you all have more experience with drones than I do. I started with my very first drone was the DJI Air 2 in April of 2020. And then when it couldn't shoot fireworks July 4th, on July 5th, I bought the Autel. Yeah, that's how I wound up with Autel. So even though everybody calls me the Autel guy, I started with DJI, and I keep my eye on everything. I'm more of a technology kind of guy than any one particular drone guy, because I work in the computer industry, sort of down the street from where you live, Bill. Well, I'm not there, but a company down the street from where you live. And so drones to me and cameras to me and sort of all the technology and software technology and hardware technology behind all of that is kind of what got me all interested.
Me personally, I love taking pictures. When I was younger, I used to love making like the little simple, like, I don't know, for people from my age, it would be very similar to a serial reel that you would see like in between movies and stuff that your parents would tell you about. So it was like I would make little skits with my nieces or my cousins, my younger cousins and stuff. And I'd be like, I've got a kid for sale today, only $5.99, and no, do your housework for free. Those kind of things when you were younger. I used to do stuff like that. And I've really been kind of thinking about getting back into those things. But I've done a squirrel moment and I want to keep things going back in the right direction. So we'll just bounce it around tonight. We're going to talk about the Autel drones. We're going to talk about Xdynamics. And basically the reason that we're going to Rod so much for the information is because he is really, like he said, he's very technical about all this stuff and he's really dug into it. I personally do not know a whole super bunch about the new Evolve 2. I know about the original Evolve and kind of the issues with them. And I know they make really, really, really good controllers. DJI, I've been a fanboy ever since Billy and I became friends. So need I say more? We all were Billy fanboys in our own weird way, and some not. I agree. I get that, but more of the so than like with DJI. Like something I'm going to admit in a minute is, well, I'll just admit it right now. I'm not as much of a fan of the Air 2S as I am the Mavic 2 Pro. I've become to realize as of late. So Anybody else want to jump in and throw some stuff out there before we really dig in and I'll post up some pictures and stuff? Anybody want to throw some stuff out about what they're thinking? Brian.
Rod, you know about Autel. You mentioned, or someone mentioned about the controller. Are we talking about the standard controller or their, what is that one thing called?
The smart controller?
No, okay, not the smart controller. My only issue with Autel, and it's not going to stop me from getting another one, but my RC failed. And it failed in such a way that when it shut down, my Autel Evo 1 flew straight up 45 feet into a tree.
Gotcha.
It was going to go to its home point because I had it set to go to 125 feet, fly to its home point, come back down. Trouble is, it was down below, like, I think I had a 12 feet.
It was in a bad
Same
spot
problem
when
as
it decided to
flying
go to the house.
20 minutes later,
that's why you don't fly under the bridge, right?
No.
Hey, John.
It broke the gimbal, but it was still flyable. So 20 minutes later, I said, okay, let's just see what happens. I'm trying to recreate it. 20 minutes later, that RC failed again. So I have a little issue with Autel right now.
The interesting part is the Evo 2 is the same remote controller, and
Yes.
I've literally not seen any complaints on any of the forums about the
Mine is
controller.
anecdotal, but Ron Lockwood had the same thing happen to his.
I would be more inclined to think it was just a disconnect from signal strength, which
Chris is like, oh God, Bill's waving at everybody. I'm going to look.
seems to be better with the Evo 2. But, to be honest, with these new drones, the whole thing is completely different because they've gone to a new chipset provider for the communications. So it's more like AkiSync 3 now. So there's a bunch of questions right now on the forum whether the new V2 smart controller will actually work with these drones, because the controllers that are coming with the new drones are now 3 channels, and it's 2.4, 5.8, and a really odd one, 5.2 is the third channel that they're going to be.
Hasn't Autel changed their chipset? Because didn't they do this with the smart controller, where the V1 smart controllers won't work with the V2 drone chipset?
Correct.
So I'd be surprised if their current controllers work with these new drones, because I thought
they
were forced
100% will not. They've already said it won't. This V1 smart controller won't work with the V2 Evolve 2. So completely different chipsets.
Well, my issue with that was the power supply. I finally pinned Autel down on it, and they said, yeah, the power supply or the power relay failed. So, thank you.
So
how much to replace that, by the way? 300 and what? Oh, really? And then you're going to fix the gimbal for 200 and what?
So, just to give you my experience, so I got my drone, my Pro, in July of 2020. And I actually modded my controller and put one of the alien techs on it, which means I sent it off and they put a new set of connectors in the remote and went to the alien tech. So if my controller was going to fail, one would have thought, because the thing got opened up and had a new set of connectors added to it, that would have failed. And I've had 0 issues with that controller.
That's good to hear. Drone Psyche Charlie Mafia mentioned that same alien tech controller.
I just ordered another one that's called the Duo 2. Although I'm going to put it on the V1, which is only 2.4. The Duo is 2.4, 5.8. But I'm sort of buying it with the intention of eventually I'll have the V2 smart controller so that I can use it on that as well.
Bill, be quiet. We're talking here.
No, y'all keep going. I'm just greeting guests. Didn't you see? I'm putting their names up and I'm waving.
I just want to say though, I am not against Autel. I am going to buy another one, because if you look at the video that I put out today, just today, as an example, it's 3 minutes long. I'm not promoting it, but you will be able to tell which ones are Autel, which ones are DJI when I'm looking at those cruise ships. Autel was super sharp, super clear. Colors are spot on. No color grading necessary. I need another Evo or something.
And that is exactly where that Lite Plus comes into play, which is kind of the Air 2S, but it's literally the Evo 2 Pro 6K camera on that smaller frame. It's literally that same camera.
And the variable aperture, man.
And variable aperture. And, you know, everybody's going, well, it's more expensive. And it's like, well, hell yeah, it does more. So it probably should be more expensive.
It's tonight's theme.
Is it more expensive than the Mavic 2 Pro? No.
No.
And that's a variable. I wanted a variable aperture 1-inch.
Yeah,
years now.
The Lite Plus is $1249, I think was the price. $1,200 something.
$1,249.
It's not bad considering what's on the drone. I mean, the Lite Plus is a very, very interesting drone, as is the Nano.
Yeah, not just that, but the chips, they're so scarce, guys. We're paying that boosted price for those precious chips.
And that's what I try to keep saying in all the channels when everybody's asking about pricing. You know, literally TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, literally raised their prices 15 to 20+% for every bloody piece of silicon that comes out of there. They're the world's #1 manufacturer. And Global Foundries followed right behind them and raised their chip prices as well. So literally anything that it requires silicon to make, it went up over 15% in price.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I work for a company that has to buy components, and we're trying to stock as much as we can just to tackle what's happening, and it's going to get worse before it gets any better.
You know, and one of the, I think it was the Global Foundries guy, he came out and said, you know, maybe by late 2022. So, you know, whatever their time frame is, add 6 months to it. So you're probably talking mid 2023 to late 2023 before
those are the projections
before this gets anywhere near towards.
But here's the heavy duty one that Rod came up with. Go ahead and expound what we were talking about the other day about what you think's going to happen. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm concerned about what's going to happen if I buy one of these inflated chip price drones now, as opposed to in 2023 when I might like to sell it and upgrade when the chips are more plentiful again. And Rod's response was,
I don't think the prices are going to come down. That is the interesting part. You have to realize that the market is going to sit at these prices for 2+ years. So by that point in time, don't you think the companies and the consumers will kind of be used to those prices coming out? So the question is, when the chip prices go down, do you think those companies are going to give up the extra revenue they might get?
You want to know
That's
why?
an interesting question.
But you want to know why I think yes, that they will come back down?
Competition.
There's not going to be that many people that can buy these damn drones this time around.
I don't know. With all the printing
I'm going to
of
have to sell 2 of my drones now just to be able to buy one of the elite drones that are coming out from either company, or for that matter, even from Evolve. I'd have to go ahead.
Second mortgage. It's an option.
I'm not going to say anything. We've
already
Bill, expanded too much already.
You and I talked about this. Drones, and this is why I got into drones in the first place, because I was heavily looking at cameras and jumping into the camera market because a guy that I work with had a nice Nikon or something, and so I was always going to jump into that market. And then, you know, I saw Flight Path at CES 2020, and he was looking at the Evolve and a few other things, and I was like, wow, a flying camera, which means I can take pictures from angles that I can't take, and it's cheaper than the camera. But when you start looking at even these inflated prices from Autel, and then start looking at camera prices, drones are still freaking cheap. And the camera market is way bigger than the drone market in total sales revenue.
I like this idea here. Like he's pointing out, the stuff that we're getting access to now was not made for drones. And if drones become more and more plentiful, we're going to override these frequencies, and they need to do something about, because technically OcuSync. I mean, what people don't really understand is technically like OcuSync and it's like combining the bandwidths of like 2.5. You know, it's just
it's just bandwidth.
Typically.
It's just bandwidth hopping across those. So whichever signal happens to be coming in is the one that it uses.
Like, so, but that's my point. So, in my opinion, and I know they kind of got us with the little 249 thing. I do believe, didn't Lauren mention earlier that they've pretty much in Canada, they've become educated enough to understand that 249 is something that's not going to harm people if it falls from the sky. So they're saying that people aren't going to, that they're not worried about 249 and below. Will that happen here? I don't know.
It's already happened here. 249 is the magic number here as well.
Okay, so hopefully it'll stay that way here then. But I really am like have been talking for the bang for the buck, the Lite Plus is what I'm thinking. I don't think that DJI has anything that can hang with it right now. But that's the one I'm looking at, the variable aperture, 20 megapixel.
Oh, it's the Pro 6K camera, and that camera just freaking rocks.
Well, yeah. So yeah, and it's in a smaller package.
And just for guys like you who are, out there and you get the fog rolling in off of the bay and stuff out there, right? Mm-hmm. That camera comes with dehaze on the camera. So you can literally defog on the camera as you're taking the picture.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's pretty much like what we all like. It's like what
DaVinci. It's dehaze. It's dehaze in DaVinci is what it is, but it's on the drone.
Yeah, super cool.
Hey,
okay.
Another thing too on the Autel.
All right.
We're talking about the Lite. The only thing I'm a little concerned with, and this was an issue with my EVO 1, was the strength of the motors. You put that thing into a headwind, you were going to get your speed cut in half. So now we got a 249 gram drone. I'm just wondering what kind of wind that thing is going to be able to handle.
So I saw, and it might have been on the Chinese site the night that they released that crap at 10 p.m. our time. I was thinking one of those, I saw that it was rated for level 8 wind. So I would presume that's the Lite Plus.
Let's see.
I don't know if that's actually come out in any of the English stuff.
I'm just going to hold off and see the.
No, obviously that should be the case for everybody. If you already have something in that market, if you already have something in that space, do you really need this? I don't know that you do. If you're a mini guy and you don't have an Air 2S type drone, then the Lite Plus is a good guy. Or you have an Air 2S but you don't have a mini DJI Mini for whatever reason, then maybe you sink your toes in and buy the Autel Mini, just as a lower end to play with.
I like this commercial he's got there.
Yeah, see, this is what he's talking about. It's the low light sensor, and that's the new sensor that they've come out with, right? So
this one I don't know because it's the 1-inch. They don't list this one as the CYYP or CYY, whatever it is.
It's saying it's Autel's intelligent moonlight algorithm. So they've come up with software to do this.
My guess is it's the same camera that's on the 6K Pro, and they've probably enhanced the firmware a bit because they probably have a little faster processing to do a few more tricks with that sensor.
Did the 6K drone have a variable aperture?
Yes.
Okay, so
it's the exact same specs.
So is it possible that this moonlight algorithm is basically adjusting the aperture through AI, and that's how it's managed
to
get?
So yeah. They could have added some extra processing to do even more low light. No doubt. Okay. It does really good low light.
Oh, wow.
My one problem and one hope is that the focusing works better. And with all the marketing stuff about how the nanos got the fast focus and all that stuff on it, I'm kind of hoping that Lite Plus has some of that same stuff built into it. where it's a little better at focusing. That's probably my only issue with flying at night with that particular camera.
All right, and here's the standard light with the
YYB. Yeah. So that's the smaller sensor, but theoretically, with that sensor, it's supposed to let in about 40% more light. From what I found, the Huawei P30 Pro in 2019 was one of the first cell phones that used that type of sensor technology. And I don't know that anybody said that it was like night and day difference kind of thing. You know, as with everything, take those percentages with a big grain of salt. So if you get, it's probably not 40%, but you might get 15-20%. But if it makes the picture look better, great, more power to it. A better picture that is better than what that sensor can normally produce, which would be what the Air 2 and the Mini have right now.
Here's something that I'm liking. Look at it's HDR is not overblown.
Yeah,
it's actually enriching the details and everything like it's supposed to, and it's not just like somebody throwing 10 extra layers of paint on it.
Yep.
I see too much HDR that's like that. Guys, anybody got any input? Keith?
Yeah, that's
Chris?
what Autel is known for. That's why I like them.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that more and more. People are talking about straight off the card.
Yeah, straight off the card.
Really don't have to play with it that much.
I love to shoot and D-log and color grade. To me, that's the other part of this hobby that I've liked so much. But sometimes you just want to put something out real quick, no fuss, no muss. It's there. It's ready to go.
My God, Brian, that 6K, the 1-inch 6K, shooting at 6K 30. Look over my shoulder.
Yeah. Yep.
And the variety of colors too.
That is literally nothing more than a picture in video picture coming off of 6K 30 video.
That's awesome.
Oh, very cool. Very nice.
So that's not even like a full 5K image that you're seeing there. That's actually because when it does the picture in video, and I set it for every 5 seconds, that image is a little bit smaller.
Lauren's here. Wait. Okay, so Lauren, thank you. And like Ray Kelly was saying earlier, while you were on their show earlier, on the Fly for Fun show, that he was taking notes. I'm showing you, I literally did take notes. As you can see, verified right here, I took notes. And I'm only going to credit them to, I told everybody before we went live, I was going to credit them to Canadian drone links. So I wasn't going to use any names. I was just going to credit them to Canadian drone leaks. So,
and maybe the biggest improvement at all, Brian, because at least I've only seen a few screenshots, obviously, and what they're doing here is they've got a new app. So it's the Autel Sky app instead of the Autel Explorer app. So if they've cleaned up the UI and essentially copied DJI, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
When you say copy DJI, do you mean DJI Fly or Go 4? Because
Fly.
I'm not the biggest fan of Fly. I think Fly is not it worries me when the Mavic 3 comes out because I don't think the Fly app as it stands is that pro grade.
Same here.
It's difficult to get to. It's difficult to get to certain controls, and it was a comment you made earlier, Bill, about preferring the Mavic 2 over the Air 2S. Why is that? Just out of interest, because I have my own feelings about the Air 2S, but I'd be intrigued to know what you say by that.
I'm still going to say that I like the Mavic 2 Pro more. There's something about it. Might be something about the gimbal of mine. I think it makes me feel like it's off a little bit, and I can't ever get it aligned right, no matter what I do.
The only thing about the Mavic 2 series that took me maybe a month to get used to is if you take off and whatever you're looking at, a blade of grass, that's what's in focus. You put it up 6 feet. You got to tap that screen. That's the only thing, because otherwise the autofocus, for some reason, will not snap to the distance it's all of a sudden seen. and that was the only thing I ever had to get used to. And it wasn't at first.
I find the Air 2S is too snappy in the air and out the box, whereas like the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom were nice flyers out the box. You do some stuff to smooth it out for whatever need you want, but the Air 2S is like Scrappy Doo. It's just the minute it comes off the things, let me at them, and it's so
that's an
really
interesting point, because one of the gripes the DJI guys, Billy and some of those guys, was, the Evo 2 is like a flying brick because of its weight. But you know what the advantage of that weight is? The wind doesn't move that thing around, and you're on a rock solid platform that will you could just shoot, and the camera won't be vibrating and bouncing around and everything else.
That's another thing about, like, I'm sorry, I'll let you go next, Keith. But when you put the Air 2S up in the air, you can look on the screen, got a great picture, but you can look at the drone and you're like, oh my God, it's going to flip over. It's just going to flip over. And the Mavic 2 Pro would get up there and it would sit in the air and it'd be like, oh, what's this, a 25-mile-an-hour wind? Just sit there rock solid. And then, 25-mile-an-hour gust hit it and go, woo, yeah, all right. But like I said, I'm terrified that the Air 2S is just going to go.
I've had it in some high winds, and it does, you're right, look like it's going to flop, but the footage is solid. But the Pro 2 or the Zoom always gave you that more confidence because it looked solid in the air. But I find Go 4 a much more intuitive app, whereas Fly, especially on your phone, you're sitting there trying to get into the controls to adjust your everything, and it's really. So when this Mavic 3 comes out, you've got to improve the app, and I just don't think it will. We'll talk, obviously come back to the Mavic 3, but the only problem with Auto is they don't sell around the world. They're only in select markets, and it's a shame because I would go out and buy that Nano tomorrow.
Maybe this is their plan on going. Maybe that's something they will push out more globally.
Yeah,
because it's more acceptable at that lower weight.
I'm in the market for a small sort of mini drone, and the fact that Nano does active track, you've got my money, because it's a lightweight drone that I can just slip into a backpack, and it will do active track, which is what I have a need for. So, whereas the Mini 2 does not. I mean, the Mini 2 is a great drone, but again, it uses DJI Fly, and
I'll just say DJI and Autel have a lot to prove with tracking, because the active track on the Evo 2 is blah, and the tracking on DJI is still blah. The Skydio is the only one that's got any real good tracking, and that's kind of what I'm hoping with the Evo 3 is, because they're using those same sensors that the Skydio is using. But part of the advantage of the Skydio, and this is a piece that everybody kind of misses, I think, from a technology perspective of that drone and why it does what it does so blooming bloody well, is what processors on that drone? NVIDIA. It's an NVIDIA. It's an NVIDIA processor, which is basically a graphics processor. Hello. What do games on computer games do? 3D computational, positional, everything else, right? For games. That's why that bloody drone can do the mapping it does. It's using a chip that's designed to do 3D spatial stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the first to say that the active track on DJI drones is not that great. Depending on what you use it for, it's not that great. I've had reasonable results with it following me on a bike. Basically, it does well as long as you line it up and there isn't anything in the way. It's fine. I just need a drone that's a bit smaller to do that, because the Air 2S, believe it or not, once you've done 2.5 hours on a bike, is quite heavy in your backpack. So the lighter drone would be great. But
so which one would you prefer, the Plus or?
Oh, I'd go with the Plus, because just it's got that few more bits on it. But it's certainly the most interesting mini drone on the market at the moment. And there's no word on the Mini 3, and is the Mini 3 going to have this?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know that the Mini 2 was meant to, that LED light in the Mini 2 was meant to be a sensor which they couldn't get working. But this thing's got backwards, forwards, everything sensors. And I mean, at the moment, it looks like Autel's just slapped it out the park. And
it's more than just the processors, though. Yes, we were talking about that, like the Moonlight sensor, the Moonlight deal. Yes, it seems like they've come up with a lot of new technology. So, and since he kind of hinted and alluded and mentioned the Mini 3, if all of you weren't watching earlier, I highly suggest you go watch tonight's episode of the Fly for Fun show, because there was a lot of fantastic information that came out of that show tonight. So, and watch the other previous shows as well, too, not just tonight's show, but make sure you watch tonight's show, because right now that's why we're all hyped up, because there was an ass load of potential dates released. I'm going to say that you can't hold anyone responsible for this. These are fairly close to what's going to go on, but this was the information we've gotten. If anybody saw earlier, I had a banner going down the bottom. It said "More Than Action." That's supposedly the new campaign title for the Action 2 release. I believe he said they were going to start talking about it on the 22nd. We were actually going to get a teaser release. Maybe the emails were going to go out on the 22nd, announcing it to DJI customers and people on the emailing list. And then the 23rd was going to be the teaser trailer. You were going to be able to order it on the 27th. It would actually hit the streets on the 28th. It was going to be between $400 and $500. The reason being because there was multiple versions. As we all saw in the leaked pictures, there were components that you could stick together and everything. So I'm sure the component version is going to be similar to what was it?
1XR. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, and it was a component. So it's going to be similar to that. Okay. And then as they talked a little bit more, he even gave out more information. He was talking about the potential dates for the Mini 3. I'm sure we're all intrigued and interested in that. There wasn't any information about specs, but there was the deal about somewhere between the beginning of November, early November, and the middle of November, probably more like the middle of November, we're going to start getting information, teaser, tidbits, leaks, things of those natures, telling us about the the Mini 3. So hopefully we'll see. I don't see how they can't put obstacle avoidance on the Mini 3 now. There's no way they can't put it on there. And since it's DJI,
sure they can. They can leave it off and then compete on prices against the Nano that doesn't have it.
But DJI doesn't compete on prices.
Well, but they put the Mini 1 out and badged it as a new Mini, and it is pretty much a Mini 1 in a Mini 2 shell, and they've sold quite a few of them.
The SE,
yeah.
Okay, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. That's just my okay. So anyway, and the potential dates for the Mini 3, middle of November. Now, here's the big one that we've all been waiting for. We've already seen the pictures. We know it's real. We've seen the manual for the Cine version. Now, here it is. If I heard him correctly, I even rewound the episode while it was live to make sure I got the dates right. The teaser, we should be getting teaser leak information around the 13th of October. So we don't have long to wait before we start drooling heavily because DJI is going to throw meat at us. Okay, and then we won't be able to order it until October the 20th. But here's the kicker, and here's what Rod pointed out to me when I was mentioning it to him earlier. Was what you said? It's a paper release, Rod. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah. DJI is doing a paper release.
We won't actually be able to get the drone in our hands until December 20th. So 2 months from the time you order it. So, what do y'all think of them apples? That's the information.
Which is one complaint against Autel,
not
right?
October, November. So he's saying, okay, not October, November. So none of it's October. So it's November 13th. So wait a minute. So we're going to get the Mini 3 and the Mavic 3 at the same time, basically. So they're going to give us 2 releases at the same. So remember we were joking about that, Keith. We were saying, oh, were they planning on hitting us with the Mini 3? And then like they did like a month later, hit us with the Mavic 3. Remember DJI's notorious for that.
Yeah, so at least it's a shorter delay. At least it's not a 2-month delay. Although, Lauren, you did say October 13th.
Yeah, because I even backed
I heard
up.
that part.
I even backed it up. Yeah, I backed it up and watched the replay. So here's and you did say October 20th too, because I wrote it down. But so everything's in November. We just want to correct that. And so excuse me, this is Lauren only writes for Canadian drone leaks. So we're just asking him because he was the reference, and he's referencing his materials now. So.
And the other part of all of this is it's all driven by marketing guys. So what today's dates are will be different tomorrow.
I think the Mavic 3 is obviously ready because we've started seeing the leaks.
Okay, so wait a minute, I'm confused. So maybe it's the other way around. Mini 3, we're going to start getting leaks in October, and then it's going to come like what you were saying, or Mavic 3 is going to come out in October. So maybe that's what he was saying. Because see, now he's saying yes a month apart. So I'm assuming we're going to get, that means we're going to get Mini 3 leaks next month.
So that means all the Mini 3 is October, and the November, December is the Pro, the 3 Pro.
Yeah, so exactly what we were talking about. So you're going to be like, honey, DJI's not coming out, but with one drone this year, it's all I want for Christmas. I want the Mini 3. Okay, honey, that's it. You get the Mini 3. Good job. Happy Christmas for you. Okay, and then November rolls around right before Black Friday. DJI releases the Mavic 3 Pro. Honey?
I don't know. I think there's a drone. Well, it's costly, but I think there's a drone that could, if it works as advertised, could just crush the whole thing and make all of that a moot point.
Me. So wait a minute. So this is going to be this. I can't. It doesn't. Okay. So if DJI is going to tease us with the Mavic 3 Pro, wait a minute. Okay, that's brilliant. I get it now. Okay, here's the deal. DJI is going to tease us with the big, expensive drone. Say, oh, God, and everybody's going to be like, oh, I really want one. Honey, I want that drone. No, there's no freaking way you're spending $3,000 on a drone. Okay, we don't want you to get divorced from your wife. So here we go. In November, we'll let you have the Mini 3 for less money, and it's jacked. It's really jacked. We put everything on it. It's got a variable sensor on a 1/2 inch, a variable aperture on a 1/2 inch sensor. It's got obstacle avoidance, and it kicks Skydio in the ass.
And it's only $1,000.
Yes, exactly. Only $1,000 for just the drone. But if you want the Fly More package with a smart controller, $1,799.
I think. Rob, you said there's another drone. Are you referring to the Sony by any chance?
No, the one that I've been keeping my eye on 100% is the Xdynamics Evolve 2, and it's the Micro Four Thirds. I realized the Evolve 1 was kind of blah, but the Autel Evo 1 was a little blah, and the Evo 2 turned out to be a really damn good drone. And the other part why I think this drone could actually freaking work is they've been sitting on this thing for more than a year plus, which means they've had to be iterating software and firmware because they couldn't get chips and resources to build everything. So what else are you going to do in the meantime but keep flying it yourself and working the kinks and the bugs out? So I'd say there's pretty good odds that this thing comes out working pretty well. Yeah. The advantage that the Evolve 2, and obviously it's a different market that it's kind of going after, is effectively that Evolve 2 is an Inspire at a much cheaper price, with one exception that it can't do the 360 spinning of the camera. So take maybe this is the Phantom 5, right? Kind of drone thing in that market space with the 4/3. But the big advantage of that drone is the interchangeable lenses. I could literally put a standard Micro 4/3 lens on there and go from wide angle to telephoto to primer or whatever whatever you want to do on that blooming drone, which is hands down better than I think we're going to get with the Mavic 3 Pro or the Evo 3. You know, look at the 3 Pro with the telephoto, right? You know, obviously I have NASA down the street from me, so I like to shoot the nighttime launches. The telephoto would be great, but guess what? The telephoto lens is attached to a 1/2-inch sensor.
Well,
It's not attached to the 4/3. Where if I have the Evolve, I have a 4/3 sensor and I put a telephoto lens on top of it like a normal camera.
Okay, look at what Jet's saying here. He's talking about, now I had heard the Cine version with the smart controller was going to be like four grand. And if I'm not mistaken, Jasper's in somewhere in your European prices, or is he talking? I was talking to somebody earlier, and I personally, okay, I can see him freezing and popping over here on the live stream. Something to do with StreamYard. They've been having troubles all the time. Are you leaving, Chris?
No, I just agreeing with you.
Okay, yeah, because I can see over here, and it's like.
You kind of look like old Max Headroom there for a second.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I'm afraid, and Rod, you and I were talking about this too, that 1 terabyte version, Keith was mentioning it also.
That one is probably going to be really expensive.
Right, but I'm wondering if I can get around having that ProRes license. I'd rather have the internal storage without the ProRes.
Why do you want the internal storage? Because the whole idea really about is, you know, that if you get really good footage and you somehow crash the drone, you don't destroy your footage.
The bit rate.
But theoretically, isn't your transfer rate going to be that much higher since you're going internal with an SSD? As opposed
to but again, the bit rate, the footage, again, what are you going to be using it for? If you're using it
ProRes, because you're getting 5 gigs a second.
Yes, but okay, I'm going to argue this. How many people are going to be using ProRes?
I don't know. I just want to say I got 1 terabyte, you know.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Exactly.
But to answer your question, Keith, the guys that would use it are the same guys that are going to buy the Evolve or the Sony instead of the Mavic 3.
Wait.
I think, no, you see, this is the thing. I think certainly in the last few years, a lot of like the adventure documentarists and people like that, funny enough, use Mavic 2 Pros. I noticed that, like Apple TV's The Long Way Up, which was Ewan McGregor and that, they've got a show out how they used all DJI products on that shoot. Now, a drone the size of the Mavic 3 with ProRes, I think, is a game changer for that industry, not necessarily, you know, drone buyers like you and me and the YouTubers out there. But for the people that go out into the jungle and go on these massive adventures and take small compact drones, a drone the size of a Mavic 3 that can shoot ProRes is going to blow everything else out the water.
Well, seems like Lauren's saying here, SSD is no different than the current. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but there's a difference. Here's the difference. The current onboard storage doesn't rival the storage that I've got on this little card. I'm going to run out of what's presently on most of the DJI birds.
Speed-wise, it smokes that card.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. It just blows it out of the water.
It does, but and when you're transferring, depending on your machine, it does. But I still find it easier to take the SD card out, plug it into my SD card reader, than to faff about, plug the drone in, make sure the drone is charged, because you're going to need to make sure the drone has some battery life so you can do the transfer. I was skeptical at the time when we first heard the leaks about this 1 terabyte SSD, but now it makes sense if you're going to have ProRes, because you need it for ProRes. But I wouldn't go out. I very rarely use the onboard storage of the drone, of any of the drones, because it's such a faff to get the footage.
That's why the Evolve has the CFast card in it.
Yeah,
for the fast storage. They're using CFast for that problem.
Yeah,
it still goes back to the same thing you said earlier. If you crash that drone, what are you going to plug that drone into again to get that footage off of there? You know, so you've recovered the drone out of the water. It's wet. That stuff is toast.
Yeah, I honestly don't. I really, when I heard this, was skeptical because I know that some people it might appeal. It just doesn't appeal to me to have that unless you're doing something like ProRes. That's where it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
But again, a C flash card would have been better because if you crash the drone, your footage is gone. I still think that you're going to start seeing, if it's true and you've got this ProRes on there, you're going to start seeing this drone used by a lot of professionals that are in that particular niche of needing a light drone.
That's when it would serve them well. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
But then I think you're talking the guys, which is the other drone that was on Bill's thumbnail. Then I think you're talking the Sony guys, because then you're kind of talking, the Hollywood studio types, the newsroom guys types, and the $9K for that drone for those guys is nothing compared to what they, how much of the cameras cost that the camera guys carried around.
I mean, the Sony drone is interesting because you can lift up a Sony camera, and Sony cameras are really good. But if you're doing the sort of 1-man, 2-man sort of camera jigs, because again, I watch a lot of documentaries where there are not big crews following them. So something like the Sony or an Inspire is just too heavy a drone. That's where a lot of people carry these Mavic 2s, because at the moment they are arguably the best drone for the type of work they're doing, but they don't do ProRes, whereas this drone will. So I think it's a game changer in a very niche market. But I wouldn't, if I'm going to buy the Mavic 3, I wouldn't rush out to buy the Sin Pack. I think the Fly More with the smart controller rumored.
See, well, that's what he's saying. Basically, is it's a replacement for the Inspire at present, and I believe he mentioned something about that there was possibility of a new Inspire sometime next year as well.
So
I think he's absolutely right.
And
so the interesting part of the Cine bill, is that controller. Look at the Autel. The Autel is 7.9 inches and 2,000 nits. You look at this V2 controller, it's still 5 point something and 1,000 nits. Really? They're going to let Autel own that, especially when you start talking enterprise guys that they're going to sell that stuff to?
But again, look at the size of the Autel smart controller. It's huge. And the one thing I will say is that the smart controller, I love my smart controller. Now, I live in Thailand where, and especially with the Air 2S, because the other thing about DJI Fly is it seems to use a lot more power. My phone lasts about 5 minutes in this heat, if that, and then the screen is gone. The smart controller does it. Okay, there are issues with the smart controller, but the screen stays bright enough to use in this, even in the harshest sunlight here. And it's lighter than the Autel controller. The Autel controller is huge. You aren't going to get that in a small backpack. So again, I have to say that the smart controller is the perfect size, and really you don't need above 1,000 nits.
It's about the same size as probably an iPad Mini, sort of length and width. It's only the height of it, which is
so
inch. I don't know.
Did I misunderstand? So is the only way you're going to get the smart controller is in the Cine pack?
You'll be able to buy
it,
or you got to buy it separately?
You can buy the base package and buy it later.
I don't want to buy it later. I want to buy it in a Fly More kit, man.
Yeah, I expect they will, because they've done every other drone. They've done a Fly More with the smart controller. So the Air 2S is now available as a Fly More with smart controller.
Just here for Chris's beard. What the hell, man? Oh, yes. I'm going to tell everybody here and now. I actually started another drone group. And it's simply because, like, if anybody hasn't already seen it, there's a group on Facebook. It's called Old Farts with Drones. It was started by Bob, and he was on the Fly for Fun show earlier. And so as a result of Bob talking about it, and then he mentioned something when he was on our show last week, and he was talking about this, and I was talking to John Coopy and everything, and we realized that most of the drone pilots have facial hair. And if they don't have facial hair, right after they start flying a drone, they grow facial hair. And sometimes a lot of it. So we decided I wanted to do something in the same kind of mold that Bob had created, kind of a good-natured kind of thing, but it's super, super tiny right now. It's just called the Bearded Drone. So you all are welcome to kind of look it up on Facebook and see if you would like to. And it basically says anyone that's old enough to get like stubble. So and fly a drone. So I thought it was kind of cool because, you know, supposedly the law is we're supposed to be 16 years old and and all this. And yes, you're more than welcome to shave, good sir. That's perfectly fine. I think I mentioned something to the fact that we all just love drones and have everything. And Ken Heron, it's good to see you in here again. Good to see you, Idaho Quadcopter. Good to see you, Jet. Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you, Mr. JC's RC, the Grumpy Vlogger, Manny's Drone World Drone Shots, Kira Show, Lauren Donauer, BMack's AerialVisuals, Leonard Oglesby, Brad Olson, River City RVA, Thomas Ariels. Who did I miss? I'm trying to go. And anybody that I didn't say loud enough. Jim's Droning. I went back far enough and caught another name I didn't see before. Roho Droner. Rob was in here earlier and may have left. Ray Kelly, good to see you. I know Johnny Droneflower was in here earlier. I've mentioned his name once or twice before. Uncle Bill's Toys. Charles Galuski, good to see you. I hope I got it right this week. I don't know if I've said it before or previously. Johnny DRC. And I think I'm about caught up. So, okay, I threw out the tempted, the dates and everything. And I saw Jet was mentioning something about how the new drone was going to come with a high-speed data transfer cable. Okay, do you all remember when these used to come with your drone? Remember these? These are the high-speed transfer cables. You can't find the damn things anywhere. I had to order this from the Netherlands. This is where I got this from the Netherlands, to get my high-speed data cable, because I don't know. I had one. You know, remember how they were? Because they had the cool little. Hang on, I'm going to find it. Had the cool little adapter that you could go from USB 3.0 to micro USB. Remember, it had the little adapter on the end. Remember this little doodaddy?
Yeah.
Even says DJI on it, and it snaps right on the end. You can't find these damn things anymore. And if you can, somebody send me a link. I want to buy about 5.
Where's my remote? Actually, where's the rest of my? Anyways, Bill, I have for my Autel controller, so that I don't have to screw around with cables. I bought a micro to USB-C, so it's a male micro to a female USB-C adapter. It was like a pack of 5 that I got off of Amazon. And then I did the same thing for the USB port. I got a USB to USB-C adapter, and I leave those 2 adapters plugged into the remote. That way I only need USB-C to USB-C cables for everything.
Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, that's a real good idea.
Just get the adapters, leave the adapters in there, and then it's always the same cable, right? And you just convert everything to USB-C and be done with it.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Where are they making them do that right now? I just heard.
Europe. That's why Apple is going to have to get rid of the Lightning port, because Europe's going to require that everything's USB-C for power. So
it's one of the the EU is, it looks like, are going to force it through one universal type. So
they already
moaning about it, but
they already forced it through. It got approved.
Well, yeah, but Apple's fighting it, and so it'll go through some courts still.
I hope
whatever. They're gonna lose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree.
Everybody's USB-C's and the next thing is sliced bread. I'm just, like I said, I've not seen these anywhere else. The high-speed data cables, I have not seen anywhere that you can actually get them. I hope he didn't get mad at me for putting that up there, but I just thought it was funny for a second. Because see, it's not his fault; it's his camera's fault. He should be getting a new camera any day. So when Brian appears live very soon, he will be not in
stable.
Yes.
I'll be stable.
He'll not be hulking out on us.
I'm scared to move, because this thing, and this camera is not supposed to do this. It only does this to me on StreamYard. This thing will face track me. So if I start moving like this, It's coming after me. And no, this is just a cheapo webcam. I don't know why it's doing this. It's something
Wait. 2 words. You said it first. Cheapo.
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 Well, I got a new cheapo. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. So
Wait a
I'll be
minute. Did
live
you get a
streaming
Hubson webcam?
So, Bill, going back to your group, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So, does that mean the guys that are like in the northern part of the U.S. where they always grow beards for deer hunting season, and then shave them off in the spring? Does that mean you're going to kick them out in the spring?
No.
And only invite them back when they grow the beard back?
Anyone that has the ability to grow facial hair. And then as you go down a little bit further, it simply says, kind of like what Bob did with his group when he because to begin with, Bob just had, old farts with drones, and then there was a bunch of younger farts with drones that says, hey, I fart and I feel old. Can I get in? So he kind of loosened things up a little bit and changed the rules around. And so what I did to begin with this group was, as you go down a little bit, it says it's basically for people who have a love for drones and want to share drones and things like that. And since we've kind of come into this situation, I don't want to use any names tonight, but I want to kind of address a situation that was very awkward to me today. I had invited another special guest on the show, and everything was fine. We had discussed some things that we were going to talk about, and then this morning when I woke up, I got this really strange message that said that I needed to make amends with someone else before this person would come on my show.
drama.
Wait a minute. The person they were trying to get me to make amends with, to this day, I have yet to figure out why they're upset, because they were a guest on my show. And if anybody knows me, I'm very anal about my show. So that's just the way I am. It's kind of like my baby, like anybody else's show. I would expect them to be anal about their show. And I'm very hands-on about it. I'm very in the middle of my show. And somehow this person maybe misunderstood some things, everything, but they have held ill will towards me for 4 years, because this is something that came from 4 years ago. And I was like, okay, dude, fine. And in the moment, I got extremely pissed off and was really just, doing the childish shit. And then I realized that I backed up and I'm like, no, that's not the way I want to be. I'm about supporting the community, and we all need to get our shit together and realize that it's not red, blue, white, whatever. This is just drones, guys. It don't matter who you voted for. It don't matter who you support. This is just drones. I don't care who you want out there. This is just drones. And I want something else I want to talk about. The QC guy, Chris. I have not gotten along with Chris. He's even said bad stuff about my grandkids. He said I was dropped on my head at birth. But I don't think what's going on with Chris's channel is fair. I personally think that everything Chris did for Hubson was nothing more than it was advertisement for Hubson. If it did anything, it sent more business their way. It was kind of petty what they did. And I'll even go watch some of his stuff if I want information about Hubson drones, because he knows what he's talking about when it comes to them. But I mean, I'm guilty of it too. When I first started doing this stuff, I would go to somebody's channel and I wouldn't even watch their stuff, not hit, that thumbs down button. But then I got to thinking about the time and effort that people put into this. And I'm like, if I don't like what they produce, I'm not going to put any kind of reaction. But I will give them the time that I watched it, because that's fair to them for putting it up there and putting the time and effort in. But I'm not going to slam somebody with a thumbs down. I'm not going to go bitching behind their back. I'm not going to stab them in the back. I'm going to do my best to support the community, because we're limited, guys, on how much time we got left to fly. We keep joking about it. We keep laughing about it, and we keep dividing ourselves and making it simpler for them to take our air away. I made this show because it's drone therapy, because when I had a crappy day, I could go out and put the drone in the air, look at the screen, and just go, and that's what drone therapy is. It's not, I mean, and we all do it. That's exactly, you could have the crappiest day in the world and you'd be driving home in breakneck, just bottleneck traffic, and nowhere to just sit. And as soon as you get home, you plug the battery in, you fire it up and you get in the air, and you're just like, oh man. Oh. And then everything just kind of melts away. So we got to stop doing the backstabbing stuff and really support each other, because I don't consider you all my brothers and sisters. I consider you all my friends, because friends are the family we choose. So, you know, that if you're my friend, I picked you to be my friend, and I value your friendship. I value everybody that comes here and watches this show. And I'm glad that, you know, we kind of went that direction. I was talking about the British gun. All this is Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian, for breaking the moment. And it wasn't really a squirrel moment. It was just something I wanted to bring up. I don't have any ill will towards anybody, but the way it made me feel awkward. I was like, wait a minute, I got to apologize for being me on my show. Sorry, I can't do that. You know, I just couldn't. And I thought it was kind of petty that someone was trying to make me do that in order for them to come on my show. I was like, dude, I'd come on your show and I wouldn't make you send me a retainer fee. You know, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, enough of that. And I pissed off even more people. We've got now 8 thumbs down. So,
and we've got one quiet guy in here. So maybe I'll ask him a question. So Mr. Chris down there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
For what you fly and the way you fly, any interest in any of these new ones, be it the Autel or the DJI or anything else for that matter?
I'm interested in the camera, and the camera to me is where it's at. It can be on a DJI Bird, or it can be on an Autel, or it could be on a Hubsan. It's a camera. That's what tickles me. And the little one, the light that Bill showed a while ago, I've kind of been looking at that. I kind of like that. I like the small package. I bought the mini one when it first come out, and I really like that little thing because it's so easy to tote around.
So yeah, if you can live with the 1-inch, if you're just kind of looking for the best of all the 1-inch sensors, then that Lite Plus is probably the right one to get right now.
Most of my stuff is I don't make a living with my thing. I do it for entertainment. I like to post pictures on Facebook and make YouTube videos. So, you know, 4K is something I've done, but most everything I shoot's in 1080 and 60 with the
I'm like you. I just, and sort of like what Bill just said, I just fly for the fun of it and the joy of it. And I can tell you lately I've been flying for the very reason he pointed out, just a stress relief. Like I said, how can you not get stress relief? Look over my shoulder. Look over my shoulder and imagine standing at the beach, and you know the peace that sort of brings to you, and you're standing there just watching that and filming it and stuff.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no, I mean, yes, I mean, I've even gotten jealous of other drone shows in the past, but then the more I think about it, like tonight, if I hadn't have been watching Johnny and them, I wouldn't have gotten all this damn information that we've already spread around again. I mean, you know, think about it. That's the whole point. I mean, we live for this stuff. I mean, think about it. We'll be on these drone shows and they'll be like, did DJI come up and think? No. I'll tell them they think, no. What's the drone news? I'm still flying.
I've flown the Phantom 4 for 5 years now, and I can get up and put that bird up in the air, and I don't have any worries. I use my stuff too for fun too, but she took me seriously. Now I'm still here 25 years later. That's cool, Mike.
That's cool though, man. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Evolve, I'm kind of with you on that point, and why the Evolve kind of got my attention was the fact that it's using a standard camera 4/3 that you can put a standard camera, Olympus or Panasonic lens on to give yourself, you know, different abilities depending on what you're going to go shoot. And then there's kind of one other side benefit to that thing. I don't know what the top speed on the Phantom is, but on that Evolve 2, it's like 57, 58, which is basically the same speed as the Inspire. which is, you know, within 2 mile an hour of what that DJI FPV drone is in sports mode, which is 60 mile an hour. So now you can fly almost 60 mile an hour with a 4/3 camera sensor.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty bloody good from a capability. I realize that drone is bloody expensive, but there's a lot to like about it if it does what it says.
And Rob's got a good point there. Third eye view. The Air 2S is probably, from what I hear and seen you guys talk about, to have the Air 2S is the #1 little old bird right now in a lot of y'all's minds.
For low light, it's what all I use mine
You're
for.
muted, Bill.
Thank
He put
you,
it-
Rod.
He put himself in timeout.
Yeah, I
got
had that emotional moment. I made Brian cry. I had to put myself in timeout. So.
But you know, the DJI FPV drone, you know, the pieces that people like about that one is the speed, right? So it kind of makes you wonder why on these other camera drones, why they haven't come up with one with stronger motors that, you know, like the Inspire, that can do the 60 mile an hour kind of thing.
It's all about the coin, man. There's too many variables out there they can make and sell something else.
Sure.
As one winds down, that's what happened. The Phantoms wound down and they slipped in the Mavics. It's just evolution,
Chris,
I guess you call it.
Chris, was that
He only
variables
sees
or
half.
variables? I wasn't sure of that. I'm just missing that
Yeah, but
word.
there's I mean, you mentioned the FPV drone. There's already rumors of an FPV 2, but I think
100%.
I think the pictures that we've been seeing are of a fan's interpretation,
100%.
and not real. But it's funny how DJI haven't really developed the FPV drone. We haven't had that much in the way of firmware up for it.
Well, because
and that is
maybe there's
interesting.
a new FPV drone coming out in the near future as well.
Yeah, maybe, Bill.
Jasper's
So it's like the
putting up all
Evo
kinds of
one. So it's like the Evo 1 and the Evolve 1, right? It was more of an experimental first platform release kind of thing.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
they haven't really developed it. I love it because it's easy to put up in the air and you don't have to faff around with LiPo batteries and all that kind of stuff, and you get a reasonable, thing out of it. I like it and enjoy it.
I still
but I
love my
understand
Mavic
why a
2
lot
Pro.
of people. Yeah, I'm with you on that as well.
And Keith, you bring up probably the most important part of any of about all the drones, and this was talked about a little early on the previous show too. You know, you don't always need the next drone. You know, is the one you have working? And this is the point that Marcus brought up on Drone Nation the other day. You know, he only flies in the middle of the day out there to Snake River Canyon with all sun. So, you know, does he need the 1-inch sensor drone? No, because he's flying in the daylight.
It needs to be on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I agree, Rod. I would like something that could handle low light better, because a lot of times after sunsets or 30-45 minutes before sunrise is the best colors.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And my Phantom just can't quite do it. It just can't.
Really? I thought it has a 1-inch there, doesn't it?
No, not the Phantom 4.
Oh, okay. The version 2.
I still got the
That'd be some good firmware, Corey.
Anyway.
DJI FPV drone firmware make it more durable.
Yeah, look, I get it. I hear you. I actually crashed my FPV and ended up having a massive faff to get the antenna, because I didn't kill the legs, but somehow the antenna board inside snapped. Go figure. Yeah, look, it could be a lot more durable. I ain't gonna lie, but I love flying it. It puts a smile on my face, so it was worth the money for me.
That's
either durable or more fixable. One of the two, right?
Well, it's reasonably fixable if you know what you're doing. I have I haven't crashed mine, but I have fixed another one where I had to replace one of the legs. It's a bit of a faff, but it's doable.
It's contagious, Chris.
If you know what you're doing. But and parts are readily available here for the most part. But look, it's not for everyone. It is certainly not the most durable drone, and they've got to do something about that with the next version. I just find it interesting there's been no real firmware for it.
The SEMA HP, SEMA hamster power.
And then, Bill, there's another question that I've asked a few times, and that is, has the drone market with what we have right now reached that point of where feature, like computers and mobile phones, right? It's like, okay, is what's coming really that much better than what we have today kind of thing? Or is this next generation, because we're going to get the 4/3, kind of that point of, okay, here's the race, 4/3 on the big one and 1 inch on the smaller ones, kind of.
And you
thing.
can
Yeah,
And everybody's going to be playing in that space.
What, Brian?
I said, and you can do figure eights with this one besides the rocket, the droney, and the asteroid. For $2,000.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering,
But
here
yeah,
we go.
you
Here
can
it
only
is right
take
here.
the camera so far. Like you said,
So,
Hot Rod,
yeah, but
you can only
do we really battery tech?
Exactly, Jet Martin. 100% with you on that, buddy. I just spent $400 on 2 Phantom 4 batteries this last week.
And there's a lot of battery tech, that is coming that will give us, triple plus in the same size battery space.
Yeah, Stevie.
that's another thing. What's the battery on the Mac 3
Wait a
going to
minute,
cost?
Oh,
A lot.
Wow.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
The Evo 2 is $219 for that 71, but that's a 7100 milliamp battery, so that's a big honking battery.
Okay, so he's asking what's the difference
on the Mavic 3. They're saying 46 minutes. That's going to be close to that.
Yeah, that's a good question, Matt Bagwell. Somebody can answer it for him. I'd like to kind of
1/3 bigger.
From what I can see,
Yeah, it's a 1/3 size bigger.
From what I can see from a lot of the leaks, most of the weight of that drone is the battery.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked. I mean, forgive me, but it looks kind of like the Hubsan. The Hubsan came out with the Xeno 2, where they had the battery that like hung out of the ass end of it, and it looks like DJI has done something similar to that to get more battery life out of this one, because it looks like, because the button is on the top and on the side, the power button. It's really awkward looking from what I saw.
And Keith, that's a true statement with the Evo 2. That battery, the Evo 2 without the battery in it, man, it's not bad. You put that battery in it, the thing is 2 kilograms, right? So
there's your and it's exactly. So there's your 33, the 1/3 bigger.
Yeah, it's 1/3, literally 1/3 bigger. But the other part about that is you either get more pixels or you get a bigger pixel size, which is why you get so much better low light. That's why that Evolve, everybody's kind of griping and going, hey, it's not a 20 megapixel, it's only a 12 megapixel. But the pixel size on that camera is 4.6U or something like that. And that 6K camera from Autel that we were talking about that everybody kind of loves, it's only like 0.8 on the pixel size, and it does pretty decent at low light. So imagine a camera that is 4.6 and what low light capabilities that will have. So more pixels is not always better.
Yeah, see, Mike's got a good point here. Mike's got a really good. What the fuck? Anyway, what are we going to do? Like you said, we're talking about remote ID. So are we going to just have these drones for like a year and then they're going to be obsolete?
I think I have the answer to that, Bill.
All right, go ahead.
So it was a question that I asked the Xdynamics guys, and they basically said, we have the equipment on board to do the remote ID. So considering they're using 2.4 and 5.8 frequencies on board, that pretty well tells me that what remote ID is going to be is just broadcasting that data, probably on 2.4, that anybody can pick up. And it'll be coded in such a way that, you know, the police and authorities can decode that what's in that signal. So the implications of that is that they could probably do remote ID going back a few generations of drones, if that's the case.
Okay, Lauren
That's
just
what I
posted a
thought.
link in the chat. If you want to look, it will give you a breakdown of like the image sensors and how they break down and what their sizes are.
Yeah, because the next one up is APS-C.
So, okay, so here's the thing. I was under the understanding that because the FAA had not come out with a delivery apparatus for remote ID as of yet, as in they had to approve the device of which and how it was delivered. These companies are simply assuming that they will allow them to broadcast this stuff in this manner. And
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
You know why it's probably guaranteed that it's going to be on those frequencies? I literally almost guarantee it.
Well, no, I believe
is the FAA going to go to the FCC and have them carve out a new band channel? Not a chance in hell they're going to go get bandwidth. Well, specifically for remote ID for how many drones versus how many other devices are trying to use bandwidth?
You start throwing in Amazon and FedEx and everybody else, they may just do that.
Yeah, you're going to saturate. You're going to saturate those bandwidths way too much, aren't you? Aren't you going to need if you're talking about, like he's saying, Amazon and who got by then Target, you know, Pizza Hut, who knows?
So let me ask this question.
Okay.
Are you literally going to have a police officer standing 3 miles away pointing at a drone to pick up its remote ID? He's not even going to be able to see it from that far away. So realistically, for the authorities to pick it up, they're going to be maybe not visual line of sight, but they're going to be pretty damn close. And so that bandwidth saturation issue is kind of a non-point because they'll be close enough that it won't matter.
Yeah, I get that, but see, here's the thing. Here's what I'm afraid of. And don't get me wrong, it seems like it happens no matter who's in charge.
Sure.
You know, but it's all about the money grab. So this has got me worried that someone's going to say, okay, we're going to develop this device that will fit on the outside of all these drones, and it will broadcast on some carrier wave, and we're going to hook up a deal, and we're going to make it and the U.S. government's going to get this big of a cut, and then we're all stuck with these little devices. And it's not going to be like everybody's hoping. Like most everybody here has the same fear. It's the privacy fear. It's not so much of the police officers knowing where we are. It's John Q. Bob with a big handgun saying, hey, I know you're flying your drone and you can't reach for your gun in your pocket. Give me your gun. And I'm going to take your gun in your pocket too. Well, you know, I think that's what it is people are more concerned about people taking their drones, because a lot of people like to go out and film nature, which is way out. You know, there's not a whole lot of people around. There's not a whole lot of stuff, you know, to protect you around. And if you're flying and then someone can tell where you're at, and they're like, oh, he's the only guy out here at such and such bluff, and let's go out there and get that drone. You don't have a choice but to give him that drone. And I think that's more of what people are worried about, is that the public should not have access to the data of where you are and what you got and what you're flying, but that first responders should. And I totally agree with that.
Right. But remember, they got rid of the internet connectivity thing. So it's going to be purely a broadcast.
But the whole point is they're still going to know your location, your license number, and who you are. And is it going to? I'm not sure, but I'm almost potentially thinking it will give what you're flying.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
I spent the last 5 years of my military career doing network security.
Okay.
Downstream from the NSA.
Uh-huh.
What do the drones do now? Tell me what the drones do now.
Oh,
tell me what they communicate back and forth.
Connect to satellites.
No.
What?
Their GPS position. The drone knows where the drone knows where the damn remote is. Why does it know where the damn remote is? Because the remote's broadcasting that. You want to build? You want to bet I can't build a device to just pick that up out of the channel? You could do that today. Somebody could easily find out where the hell you're standing, because all those drones are broadcasting position.
It's still not that easy. What I think Bill is saying is that he's worried it's just going to be out there for any Tom, Dick, and Harry to be able to pick up. Whereas at the moment, you're right, but you have to want to do that.
But it could be out there now doing the exact same thing.
Yes, but the difference is it's not ready available. You have to want to do that.
It's not readily available when they do this new thing either. So
I thought
they will build an app.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Somebody
They had already
build an app.
Had they not already, and they even admitted, if I'm not mistaken, there was an FAA live stream a couple of months ago. The question was asked. They said, "Will that not expose a lot of drone pilots to unnecessary harassment and potential, assault?" And the FAA was like, "Well, yes, that's a possibility." Next question. That was it.
You want to know who's worse, though, Bill?
What?
I was literally flying in South Daytona, and after I landed, I literally had a state patrolman come up and start asking me some questions and going, "You're not flying in a state park." And I'm standing there thinking, dude, there are no state parks around here. And by the way, the FAA says I can fly here because I got the Lank approval. And he was kind of harassing me a bit. And I think there's probably more danger from authorities not understanding the rules than some Yahoo coming up and wanting to be an idiot. You want to hear the funny part about that story, Bill? So it's literally a state highway patrolman talking to me about drones, and my car is parked right in front of a no parking sign. He never said one word about the no parking sign. He wanted to talk to me about was I flying my drone in the right place.
Here's my question for Matt. Okay, Matt. All right, I got a concealed permit, right? Here I am flying my drone. What good's it gonna do me now? I got a gun in my pocket. Can you hang on a second? I mean, I totally get it. Yes, I get that. But if you're out there, and the whole point is if somebody's got an app, and he's like, okay, the guy's right over here, just on the other side of that tree. Stay behind the tree so he can't see you. Okay. When you walk over, and here I am. All right, look at the sunset. It's really pretty. Oh, hey. I mean, that's what everybody's afraid of. They don't care about the cops. They're not worried about the drone police. They're worried about the drone thief.
You know who needs to be worried about the drone thief? Is the Amazons and the Walmarts. You don't think the thieves are? That is what's going to make flying the drones not so profitable for those organizations.
But I'm just thinking, I totally get that. Yeah, wait a minute, build a holster to fit.
I mean, they follow trucks around now and take it off people's porches. You don't think they're not going to be looking for the Amazon drone flying around?
What do they call it? Skeet shooting with prizes.
That's probably true, Brian. It's probably true.
Hand the robber the remote and get your. Here, hold this a second. Could you pan? No, pan. No, that bud. Yeah. I don't know if that would work or not. Maybe he'd get a really good shot. But yeah, okay, so bottom line out of what so I'm actually not quite as I think if I can get the Pro, what I want really is the Pro 3 or the 3 Pro 3, yes, Mavic Pro 3, yes, the Mavic Pro 3. But we haven't brought this up yet. We brought it up barely. The rumors that we're hearing from the Evo 3 is that it's going to have 4 interchangeable payloads. one of those to equal what we're getting in the Mavic Pro 3, and then 3 completely other, fully, fantastic drones. So, go ahead.
So the base model on the Evo 3 will be a 1-inch sensor, and then the next one up will be a 4/3 sensor. The one after that they had listed, they had it listed as an 8K with a 10x telephoto. So it's actually going to have higher telephoto than the Mavic 3. Although I suspect that's probably going to be a 1-inch with that telephoto. And then there's a fourth one. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's supposed to be some super sensitive something or other. And I'm kind of wondering whether, Chris, this is where I'm kind of going is if it's a camera specifically built for low light after dark.
I don't know.
Where it's specifically tuned.
Do you all think he would scare off potential would-be thieves?
If he's like mine, he'd lick them to death.
No, he'd bark and act like he was going to chew them up, and the minute they lunged at him, he'd be like,
I don't know. You go.
I've got one under the desk similar to that.
I was going to go get him, and then I realized he was underneath me laying down.
Keith's got worse things to worry about if he goes out in the country and goes fly. Like, those snakes that are over there.
Do you know, that's a funny story. I live in a gated village, right? So usually we don't get nasties in here. But I was in our little park area the other day, and I saw what I thought was a leaf, and I put my foot down, and the leaf went to go onto my. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
bloody great big little snake.
Did you see that, Rod? Lauren was
What's
pointing out the fourth one was the infrared. The fourth one was the infrared. For Autel, wasn't it?
Is that what is?
I can't remember, and I'm too lazy right now to go pull up a Drone DJ or Drone XL webpage.
Got it. Okay, so that would make sense. That would kind of make sense. But that was another question I had about the Mavic 3 Pro. Of all the things that have come out, the one thing it didn't come out is interchangeable lens, which the Evolve 2 can do now. And that's why they're going to drop those four versions, because you'll be able to buy the cameras separate and swap them if you want.
I got something for you guys. This is breaking news. Amazon needs you for a testing program.
Negative.
What testing program is it? Did y'all get the email? Did you get the email? Okay. Are we ready? I'm going to get it loaded here. Dun, dun, dun. Amazon wants you to test their Ring flying indoor drone camera. It's a first come, first served by invitation only.
It's a dystopian attack helicopter. I mean, let's face it, Skynet gets hold of that, you're screwed. I don't know if it's going nowhere near my house.
It's a glorified cat toy.
Yeah, there's that too.
Cats are going to have
one more device in your house to be hacked.
Yeah.
Alexa.
Oh, that's right. I got headphones in to get here. But
hey, Chris, I have none of those. I have none of those devices for security reasons. I don't want any of that crap around.
I signed up to test it. I'm telling you, I did. I signed up.
Yeah, but if you wake up in the middle of the night, Bill, and it's just hovering above your head, going, "Hello, Dave," you're in trouble.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up and give it a brown eye and go.
G'day, Bill. What can I do for you?
Tell the Amazon guy, say, how'd you like that? Wait a minute. Are you wearing khakis?
See, they're going to those because their delivery program seems to be falling apart before it gets off the ground. And I think some of them are starting to realize it may not be very profitable.
I'm trying to figure, and I've talked to Ron and John and the other guys when they're on here too. I'm trying to figure out how the guy went into the Amazon boardroom and said, okay, I got this idea. It's drone delivery. It's going to revolutionize the world. And they all went, oh, hell yeah. And they said, let's pour ass loads of money into it. And then the minute they heard Amazon was doing it, UPS is like, you know what? We got to do what Amazon's doing. We got to research drones and blow half our yearly, tech research funding on drone and deliveries. And then they charge us ridiculous expensive rates and raise everything up. And then they go, oops, we made a mistake. It's not profitable after all. And like Rod was pointing out, they've already raised all the rates on the shipping prices. The chips are going to be more expensive. Even though they're more plentiful, they're going to stay more expensive. But going back to that, I think that these drones are going to be too expensive for many people to buy. And I really and truthfully, I know they're going to sell a lot of them. I'm not saying that they're not. But they're not going to sell the ass loads that they're used to until those prices come down. And even if they try to keep us at this level with the chips, I only see us going for more necessity type things like the phones and the TVs and the cars and the more recreational things. And this is something I had said before that I was afraid was going to happen, was that the drone hobby was going to become a rich man's hobby. It was going to become so expensive that only the ultra rich could afford to continue to do it as a hobby.
Look at cameras.
Yeah. Well, but that's another thing. Do I want to spend $3,000 on a drone that I have limited use of? Or would I rather spend that $3,000 on a pretty damn good new camera that I'm going to use?
Can you buy one for $3,000? I mean, the R3, just the body is $3,700 for the body, and you're talking $1,500 for the lenses, and then you start talking all the other crap that goes with it, and you're quickly in the $6,000-$7,000 range.
I totally understand that, but as from a hobby standpoint, I think I could get a damn nice camera for $3,000. If I was going to do it professionally, then yeah, I would justify all that extra money, Brian.
But Hot Rod, could you throw that $5,000-$6,000 camera into the water as good as you can a drone? Come on, man.
Well, there is a point to that. Well, if you stuck it on the Sony, then you could drop it into water probably.
Yeah, but see, that's my thing. That's my dilemma. Out of the Evo products, I'm interested in the 3 if they'll give me some information on when they're going to put the damn thing out. Other than that, the Lite Plus really has my interest. I like the Mavic, the Mini 2. It does okay as far for a 249 gram drone. I like it. It works with the smart controller. I love it. That's fantastic for me. I don't need another 249 size. I like the Evo color signs. I like the fact that the Lite Plus has the 1-inch sensor with the variable aperture. I really, really, really like that. Now, if somebody started saying mechanical shutter, I'd probably just and have to go take a shower.
And stop and think about this too with the pricing, right? So look at that Lite Plus. It's like $1,200. How much is a Samsung Fold 3?
That's and I honestly I think that unless DJI and I really expect DJI is going to put obstacle avoidance, they're going to put at least a 1/2-inch sensor, maybe bigger in the 3, hopefully a little bit bigger. I would shit myself if they had figured out some way to put a 1-inch sensor on that tiny frame. I think everybody would have a cow if they did. Because I don't think too many people thought we would get a 1-inch sensor on something as small as the Air 2 frame. Because remember, everybody was talking about, they'll never get it. It's just too big. They'll never cool it. They'll never get it. It's going to melt the damn frame. The motherboard's going to just melt right in the drone. So
there is new camera tech that's coming. Well, it's not really camera. It's sensor tech that is coming. There's a guy that's a camera guy that I've been watching, and they're all apparently Sony and Nikon and all of them are all working on it really hard. And that is the curved sensor. Yeah, they've been having some issues. They've been having some issues with breakage on them, but they're all building and experimenting with them. and the curve sensor is basically going to allow them to get rid of half the glass in a camera. So when that happens, that means we'll be able to get much lighter weight cameras with bigger sensors to put on the drones.
You see what he's saying here? He's saying that the Mavic's going on the
on the wide angle on that 4/3 main.
It's going to have a mechanical shutter.
I do think this Mavic 3 is an interesting drone. Whether I upgrade to it and need it, I'm not sure.
Chris, you got to see this.
But Lauren, you know what I'm talking about, right? They're all Sony and all of them are all working on that curve
Chris,
sensor.
If you're tired, buddy, you just go ahead and take off.
I've been working. That's why I'm keeping my head down. I've been texting my guys at work.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
So
I thought
good.
she's tired.
No, I'm good. I got something to keep me going for just a little bit.
Oh, all right. I didn't get me anything to drink. I might later. I think we need a 360 camera. I thought that isn't there a drone out that's got a 360 camera? I was thinking that there was something that could do. Well,
they're putting 360 cameras on these FPV birds.
Yeah.
Or they're even mounting them on the DJI and Autel stuff on the top of it or on the bottom.
360 cameras are interesting. I think they are a niche, usage.
That's okay. And I'm glad that we're kind of, as you can tell, because everybody's kind of given that, like, I've talked a lot about drones. I'm kind of at that point. So we'll go squirrel. I was watching the Peter McKinnon video today, and he was talking about how you don't want to say your social media is your portfolio. But somehow out of that, I got that not everyone fits into the standard YouTube mold. So you need to create your own mold, at which I'm thinking I'm still a mold in progress.
So since you brought that up, Bill,
the
Autel Lite, right? Not the Lite Plus, but the Lite, which can do that vertical.
Yeah.
And the fact that it can like auto share directly to Facebook and everything else.
TikTok, all
that is gonna be an interesting one for that community. As to how that one goes over, because that's a feature that none of the drones have had.
No, I thought didn't the original Mavic Pro, you could do that. I do believe, right? You could do that portrait or whatever.
You could, but it was a bit before its time, and nobody really used it.
Exactly. But what I'm thinking, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, I'm figuring about the time that probably in another 3, maybe 4 months, you're going to have an app that's going to convert every damn thing to where it'll just pop right up there and it's going to look phenomenal. And it's not going to make that big of a deal whether the camera will slip one way or the other. Because, you could do it now with regular software and make it look pretty damn good. So, I don't know.
So there's one more feature that they've added that, at least on the forums, there was some interesting chatter about. And it's maybe not in a good way. But you're going to be able to take your audio off your phone and it will weave it into the video on the drone. So sort of like where you would use the GoPro today to sort of catch that B-roll kind of thing. You'll be able to take that audio and put it directly onto the video in the drone. It will literally send it to.
I saw that feature.
And so the guys on the forums are kind of like, why would I do that, use that kind of thing? And I kind of get it if you're just flying for fun like Chris and I, and not really looking to build YouTube things, that you probably don't need that. You probably really don't need that feature, which is probably a majority of the users. So I kind of get it. But for the guys who are trying to do media and social media with their videos and stuff, that's a nice little ad.
It is, and the fact that you can upload it and get it on there. That's the link I just posted is to the bearded drone. Anybody that's interested, Chris is an admin in there already, so he can approve people. I can approve people. So anybody that wants to feel like joining.
So Keith, that goes back, or no, not Keith, but Brian, that goes back to your question about the remote and stability, right? If they didn't have really good connection on these new drones, no way in hell they'd be able to stream that audio to the drone to record it in the video on the drone.
I remember somewhere, I think it was a Spark. In the settings, it gave you that option to record the video, or not the audio of your surrounding area, if you were using a mobile device.
But did you combine it later? See, with this, it's going directly to the drone, and when you pull your SD card out, it's going to be there.
I don't remember, because there was a file.
What?
Greg Pittman's cutting out there.
I think it's because it's after 7, and I'm sure we've really covered a bunch, but we've been on for a while, and I need to go tend to my family for a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of into the same boat. I'm gonna have.
Yeah, everybody. That's why I went squirrel a little bit a while ago, but we kind of faded back into the drone. Right now, the Lite Plus is really intriguing to me. Being a DJI fanboy, I'm hoping that the Mavic 3 Pro is not priced beyond my reach, and I can really have it. And that's my little Ted pit, and I'm going to throw it around the room and let everybody say their good evenings. And we're going to begin with Rod.
Hello, thanks. Glad you had me here. And, as I said earlier, I fly drones, but I'm more of a tech guy and hardware, software, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not just the Autel guy. But Thanks, everyone, and have a good evening and have fun flying.
Brian.
Look at the picture.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, I got to thank you for inviting me. I feel so a part of things now, because actually I'm kind of joking around, but I'm not. I've been out of this thing now for 10 weeks because I'm raising a horse. Some people call it a puppy. It's a horse.
Mack.
Yeah. I've recently gotten back into the drone thing, so I'm pretty happy now. My life is becoming stable. Although my horse is downstairs eating our rug, from what I understand right now. So there's that. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me on, and I loved everybody in the chat. It's been really interactive all night.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Super, super good tonight. And Keith.
Thanks, Bill, for the invite. It's been great to chat about drones again and geek out about them, especially this week. It's been quite a big week, so thanks for the invite, buddy.
Thank you very much, sir. Last but not least, Chris Hope.
Bill, thanks, man. It's good to see everybody in the chat and the guys on the panel. It's nice to interact with you guys, and good to see you, Bill and Rod. And much obliged to y'all. And y'all go over to the bearded droner, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah. Yes, it's just something because, like I said, Bob thought about it. And we were all kind of realized that people had facial hair, and I thought it would be kind of neat. And I think we really need to get back to, like I said, the community thing. There's no red, there's no blue, there's no independent. We all love drones. We all love taking pictures. We all love sharing these things. Let's get back to that. Let's support each other. Let's actually all get together and have fun and share these drones as long as we possibly can, and try to voice our opinions so that, like, remote ID is more, drone pilot friendly. I mean, I totally get why they want to keep track of us, but I only want, like I said, first responders to keep track of us. And with that being said, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully there's a lady in the audience. I'm not sure. Maybe my wife's watching. I didn't pay her this week, though. Anyway, so thank you very much. Come back and see us next week. With that being said, live long and prosper.
I can never do it.